Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to this podcast sort of video we're making. I'm Nick. This is Ben. We are the founders of ClickLabs, the best software company in the world. And this video is about how to make $100K a month with high ticket, the best way, the most profitable way, the most streamlined way, and way more if you want to. The strategies are going to be applicable. So yeah, we want to jump on, do a little sit down, kind of put this resource out there, this video out there to give to you guys, our customers, our clients, our potential clients, so you guys can learn a little bit more about us, learn a little bit more about the strategy, and get dialed with your high ticket offer too.
So it's going to be pretty unscripted. Again, my name is Ben, co-founder at ClickLabs, and one of the biggest things that we wanted to break down here was anyone can go say, okay, here's how to make $100K a month or with high ticket products, but we want to actually break it down. And we want to talk about how we've both been able to do that at certain points. And I think a lot of it for me started with not high ticket products. It started with low ticket products, which the ecosystem has evolved a lot in the last 5 to 10 years. And I got started in 2018. And so over that time, low ticket was the thing in the beginning. Low ticket was the thing. And then it slowly evolved to where there wasn't a ton of trust in low ticket. And so many people want to do high ticket now because they figure it's like fewer sales, more money. And so that's the business model that people are getting into now, and they think it's their ticket out, which a lot of times it is their ticket out. It was certainly the ticket for Nick, and you can talk a little bit about your experience as well. But just to kind of clarify, my background comes from a low ticket perspective, and then it's evolved into high ticket as I've had to adapt my business model over the years. So in 2023, I sold my low ticket / subscription business called highstrike.com to a private equity firm for a couple $1 million. Wasn't a huge exit or anything, but it was a pretty cool milestone. And after that, I started getting into the world of high ticket. Now, Nick's been in the world of high ticket for a little bit longer, so I'll kind of let him talk about his experience there.
Sure. I mean, I started in low ticket too. I actually think something we should answer first is like why high ticket is better than low ticket, at least in the sense that we're talking about. And I would say in general for most people. Usually when we have a client, because I own the company Launch Socials, we help people launch their brands, we help them launch their offers, just like structure the actual offer itself. We're talking about software here. ClickLabs is software. But that's like more of like our info side of things that I've done for years, and the agency I've had. We realized, because we were working with low ticket guys like yourself and other low ticket people and things like that, we realized high ticket is just easier. If I need someone to for the economics to work, of the funnel and the ads and what I'm spending and just everything built out, I would so much rather have a $5,000 sale up front than a $50 PDF sale and try to get 100 people to buy that
Right.
$50 PDF. Usually that's the case. Because if I was aiming for the $50 PDF, my audience would have to be so much bigger. I know so many people with 1,000 followers, 2,500, 5K, 10K, like very low follower counts that are able to go and make 20, 50, 100K a month or more sometimes because their offer is good. They either maybe have an agency, so they sell a service, it's much higher ticket, they get many people on like a 5K a month subscription, MRR. They have an info product that's 5K, 10K, 25K, like an upsell sequence. They have a full backend built out, and they're able to go and make a ton of money with very little following. It's hard to do that with low ticket and a low following. So yeah, I prefer high ticket for the average person because you make a lot more money a lot faster.
Well, I think it comes down to economics, like you said. I think it's easier because the economics are easier to get into the green. If you have a huge audience, low ticket might be the way to go. And so that's kind of like That's kind of like what I started with. I built a huge audience around my company, highstrike.com, and it was easier for us to do low ticket because it was a lower barrier to entry for all those people. But a lot of times, if you're first starting, you don't have a huge audience. Like you said, the economics is what makes high ticket easier because you can spend $2,000 in ad spend if your product costs $2,500, right? Obviously, the margin isn't great, but you're still in the green.
The other point I'll make on that is every funnel, even a low ticket funnel, is more profitable with a sales call or sales team on the back end. So if you build that subscription company like Ben did, he ended up going and selling high ticket at the end of the day anyway. and built a sales team on the back end and upsold people from the low ticket to the high ticket. All roads usually always lead to high ticket, and it's usually a moneymaker. A lot of times the low ticket, for many people, ends up just being this thing on the front end to make the ad cost even. So if it costs you, I don't know, $50 to get a purchase of a PDF that's worth, $50, right? You'll spend that 50 to get the 50 in. Now you have this customer. You have their email, their phone, all their information. They're in your ecosystem. They're in your back end for free because you broke even. And then you can upsell that person and it's all 100% profit.
Right.
That is, it's called liquidation of your ad spend. So that is something that happens often. I want to ask the first question. So we have a series of questions to ask ourselves. Ben, anything to add on that, by the way?
No, it's good.
Cool. Who is the type of client that makes the most money? Of ours, of high ticket, who's that person? What's their archetype?
So, they have to have something valuable to sell. And I think one of our core beliefs is that building something of value to sell should be the hard part and not going out and making the sales, right? So if you have something that's truly valuable, you should be able to cut through the noise and you should be able to go make sales. You shouldn't have to be competing with all these marketers who are just marketers and don't have anything valuable to actually sell. So I think the first person that is going to do the best with something like ClickLabs or something like the setup that we've kind of engineered is someone who has that product that's going to stand out, that's going to go and get good testimonials and good results. Because testimonials and results are a requisite piece to the flywheel that we'll try to establish with any new client, right? So in order to go out and make more advertising and bring in more leads for cheaper and to keep that system going, you have to be able to show that, hey, people like what I'm selling. People are getting good results from what I'm selling. If you can't do that, it's basically like unplugging the entire circuit and the circuit's not going to flow anymore. So I'd say the first characteristic is someone who has something valuable, that they know is going to make a difference for people.
I would agree.
Anything
I think that's just the main person. It's like you have something valuable to sell, and you're willing to push as hard at it as possible. And it's more like there's a lot of people that just sell info and they sell services and they sell high ticket to make a buck. They do it to make a buck. They're not caring about efficiency. They'll just run it with like one basic software, a scheduling platform. They don't care about making more money on the back end. I would say our ideal customer and our best customer is the person that's like, I want to squeeze my funnel for all it's got because I know my product is so good. I wanted to get it in way more hands of people.
I'd say it's also people that are playing the long-term game too.
Yeah.
Because
Real
in order
business.
to have a real business, the setup's gonna matter. Like you can just toss a Calendly link on a website and you can make some sales. But I think like if you're in the enterprise game, the long-term game, you need that system that's going to be able to continuously and reliably get you new leads.
Let's talk about how ClickLabs actually started. I think you have kind of a version of it. I have a version of it. Like we both have our own series of events of like how we're sitting here today. Like this, because it's happened quite fast. Like I would say in the past couple months. For you, when did it start? What was going on in your head?
Well, so I've built a couple software companies over the last 2 years. So since exiting, I've gotten really into software. I own a portfolio of companies, a couple e-com companies, but mostly software companies. And so one of the things that I wanted to always build was a platform for people to run their business on, right? So I've run a business. High Strike was my business, the one I exited private equity. I've run a business, and I've noticed firsthand all the moving parts, and I lived all the moving parts. And so I've always wanted something that kind of brings those moving parts together that makes it easier for business owners to get started and to scale without having to piece everything together. Nick, completely independent of that, has also always had it in the back of his mind, like it would be great to have a software that brings together the scheduling, the payments, the hosting, the CRM, everything like that. And so we were kind of throwing ideas around, a year and a half ago or something. And we were like, yeah, well, maybe that's something we'll build down the line. And so one of my other software companies that was an AI agent builder kind of transformed into a product hoster. And at a certain point, we sat down and we were like, what if we just took this the full length and made it into kind of the software that we had been talking about both independently doing at some point, and we just kind of did it now and made it into ClickLabs, and so that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, and just to add context, like I was building funnels back in 2019, 2020 for clients at our Done For You agency, and I was just like, none of these things are good. You know, we were using things like Teachable way back in the day. It takes a massive % fee on top of your Stripe fee. It was ridiculous. I didn't want to do that. There was other things I used like Gumroad. Again, a massive fee, and it's actually not good. The founder blocked me on Twitter. Anyway, because we got in a little argument or something.
Scuffle.
But you know, little things like that. And so back even 2019, 2020, I was like, I wish there was something better. But I didn't know how to build it. Didn't have the awareness of it. Thought it was this much bigger project, and it is. And then
it is a big project.
Yes, and it is. And
from a person that is doing
the guy
the code
developing
base
it,
and
it's like
back end. It's a big project.
And the amount of time spent on it, and I had no awareness of any of that. And so in my mind, I'm like, this is going to cost so much to build, this and that. I guess I'm just going to have to use these platforms. And I've been using them for, you know, years. And about a year and a half ago, I remember we were at dinner. I was visiting you, and I kind of brought up like, man, I really think there's something here with software with, you know, something that kind of supports like info, high ticket businesses or something like that, because it's really like a broken thing. But it wasn't the right timing for anything, or like it wasn't on either of our minds to like do something. And you came to me with the idea for what you had of ClickLabs like a couple months ago. And I think you asked me like, would you help me with this? And I was like, sure. And we kind of like went in a couple different directions. And I was like, I think this would be the best route. And it solves a problem that I know I have every day. And it's massively broken. And all my clients have the same problem, which is software in the info space is broken. It's not good. You know?
Well, I think I agree. I think the softwares that exist that are like 9-10 figure companies, I don't want to get it crossed up. Like they're good companies, but
yes,
they're good for other stuff, and or they're good for a section of what it takes to build a high ticket business.
Can I give an example?
Yes.
Like ClickFunnels, for example. I think ClickFunnels is a great company. You know what they're doing there, great. But like they're a solid company, founders solid, all of that. They know how to run, you know, a business. They do it well. But when it comes to the specific mechanics of selling a high ticket product, selling info, selling the sorts of stuff that we sell, services that are higher ticket, I feel like it just drops the ball because there's a lot of things that I want to add. And then you're
I would just say it's not designed for that.
Yeah, it's not designed for, but in that sense, I mean, I think it drops the ball.
Well, let's talk about in what ways, because someone who hasn't used ClickFunnels yet might not know how it works. So ClickFunnels is built to build what they call funnels, and it's a sequence of website pages. And so in the sequence, it goes something like opt-in page, lead capture page, VSL page, booking page. So, you know, that's great for a lot of businesses. However, there's some issues sometimes with tracking, right? And so if you are running a high ticket business, you want to know where your people are coming from. You want to understand what pages that you have across all your socials are bringing in the most people that end up taking an action on one of those pages. And so one of the things, for example, that we added to our platform, ClickLabs, is when someone opts in, they are tracked from the moment they click on your first page to the moment they opt in, take any action, so that you can start building data that tells you what your best ongoing campaigns are and what the best spots that you have your links sprinkled in. Because when you get to scale, you're going to have your links sprinkled in 100, 200 different places. It tells you what places are bringing in the most traffic and which of those traffic are turning into the most money for you, so that you can just double down on the things that are working, because that's the quickest way to scale.
The other piece of it is the forms, the calls, the CRM directly connected.
Right.
The page speaks to the back end, and the back end speaks to the front end.
Right. You don't have to reverse engineer some webhook.
Like you can connect all these things to do the tracking, but it is dozens of softwares with all these integrations, and it breaks.
Right. And so to get the proper setup, you need two things. One, you need to know what to do, which a lot of times people don't know what to do because they don't have experience doing it, which is fine. And then second, you need to be technically capable enough to do it. And so I think our biggest selling point is that we take care of both. So it's both yes, you get the system that, it is what you should do if you want to run a high ticket business. It tracks all the right things. You don't have to worry about, is this kept, are we keeping track of this? Are we, keeping track of this? Are we putting the leads in the right spot? It's all done for you, and it's also set up for you. So it's what to do and how to do it.
The other thing that I kind of want to transition into is, when did we feel that the stack of tools was unsustainable? When did it become like very clear in our minds? And I think I probably have an experience that's interesting compared to maybe yours, is in a different setup. But when did you feel it was unsustainable? Like, I'm sure you have a story about it.
I
Like something
felt
broke.
like it was strange from the beginning.
Okay.
But
when you say strange,
strained, as
okay.
in I felt like too much of my time was going towards maintaining these things and figuring out how another software tool works to like slap it on the ball of duct tape platforms. Like, for example, I felt strained when I had a core product that was making sales, and I wanted to go add another product with a separate landing page and a separate call page. I felt strained trying to figure out, what do I use to make the website page? How do I make sure that I connect it to the right call page and make sure the URLs connect to each other and make sure that people are tracked from A to B? And then how do I make sure that we're separating those two call types to give one to this sales team, one to this sales team, right? That's all possible to do, but it was a ton of extra work. And although we did it that way, looking back, that's probably when I should have switched to something like a custom stack like ClickLabs. So 10, 20K a month is kind of where I felt it like really strained. And then 100K a month plus, it's like basically impossible.
For me, it was two things. One, we had to hire an automations person to manage the automations for us and all of the portfolio company clients that we work with, because it's ridiculous amounts of work. Like, every day I was going in, Zapier broken, update on this app, you have to do this, that, and it was just like a mess. And so that was one where it's like, I can't keep doing this. I'm wasting a lot of money. The second thing was, we did a launch and everything broke. Because,
what do you mean, how did it break?
Well, the tracking on the funnel broke, and then it killed the Zap.
Yeah.
So when it broke, the data stopped going through the Zap, and then the Zap turned off, because it does that when it gets too many errors.
Yeah.
So it turned off. So then none of our leads are coming in.
Sorry, can you just really quickly explain what that stack looked like? It was website to a Zap to Slack to a sales rep to a call, that you had to link all those pieces together.
Yes.
And if any one of those bridges went down, it just didn't get to the sales rep, and that lead didn't get reached out to. Am I correct there?
So there was a launch where that happened.
Right.
And part of the tracking broke, and it broke the automation. And when the automation broke and it kept trying to run, it errored. And when it errors, it turns off. So it turned off. And then none of our leads were coming through, none of our applications, none of our calls booked, none of the pre-call assets, flows, anything that actually converts somebody from a lead to an actual buyer was on. It broke.
Yeah.
And that was during a launch when we had crazy amounts of traffic running. We spent a ton of money that was wasted on the launch, and then we obviously didn't make a bunch of money because no one could sign up. Secondarily, I will also say that there was another instance where we brought in a new automations person, and they were updating some things and whatever, and misclicked a button or two, and we weren't getting leads from like one funnel. But there was another funnel live. So we were getting those. And this funnel was at maybe like 10% of the size of this other funnel. And so the month is going on, and we're like 3 weeks in the month, and we're like,
no leads.
What's with the leads? And so we end up having to go into the form platform, and we look, and we're like, oh my God, there's like 500 people in here that applied for the past 3 weeks, and we don't have any of them.
You probably lost 100K.
Exactly. We probably lost like 6 figures just from it, just like
500 leads.
non-existing.
I don't know what the product cost was, but
5-6K product.
Yeah.
Probably more than 100.
Yeah.
So they're just sitting there. So that happened, and then every single day, the third one, every single day something else. Screenshot. Hey Nick, website's down. What's going on?
Yeah.
Hey Nick, like something came in weird on the form, and you just have to go in, and It doesn't need to be like that.
At
It could
what
be a click of
point-
a button.
At what point does dealing with those issues as a business owner actually lose you money because you can't go and do the things that you need to do? I'm asking you in your experience.
Yes.
At what point did fixing all that stuff and staying on top of all that stuff, even though you had a rep to do it, but at what point did that stuff take away from your ability to go and just run your business?
So I'll
and grow?
preface that with, I want to run my business at the highest level. I want to make the most money. I want to be the most efficient. So I choose to do and have chosen to do all those things for years. They're going to try to make it most efficient, which is put in the integrations, the software stack, everything to be the best business possible, the most efficient, all of that. Which then means you have to build it and manage it. So before we had someone managing it, I was probably in there maybe at least 30 minutes a day. But it's not just the 30 minutes of actually doing the thing. It's also the time taking a look, asking ChatGPT, searching up, why did this break? What's going on here? All of that, right? So it's learning, it's being in there, and then it's the mental bandwidth. And that takes you away from content because we're a very organic-based company. That's how I run everything usually is very organic-based. Takes you away from managing your ads, takes you away from managing your employees, it takes you away from getting better results for your client. The software should just exist. It should turn on and it should just exist. You shouldn't need to tinker with it every day. If you have to change something, it should be a click of a button. You know, it shouldn't have to be that thing where it's like all the time.
Yep.
And that's what it was. And so it took me away from making content. What's an extra 30 minutes a day, an hour a day? It's another YouTube video every day.
Well,
You
it's
know, and
also
what does a YouTube video a day do for your
the
company?
the focus on fixing this stuff. It's not just the 30 minutes you spend doing it. It's the rest of the 23 hours and 30 minutes of the day that you spend remembering that you have to spend 30 minutes a day to go
And then even when you have a rep, well, how do you want that done? Well, I want it done this way. It has to look like this. Well, we could do it that way, but also this way. And then you have to make another decision, and then decision fatigue on top of it. When you could have just recorded 5 short-form videos that went viral on Instagram and brought you in a bunch of sales.
Yeah. Let's talk about learning curve, right? So obviously with using a bunch of different platforms, although it's possible, each one has a learning curve, and you know some people might not know, like I said, what to do and how to do it to make the stack something that generates consistent cash flow. What was your learning curve like with, do you have any platforms in particular that you remember your learning curve being slower than others, and what was the impact of that slow learning curve on
I wouldn't necessarily say
I know
a
your
platform.
IQ is like 150, so you probably
No,
learning curve was probably
You're funny, bro.
pretty good, but I'm just
Actually, I think it's an awareness thing. I think that the learning curve on some of these platforms, many are straightforward, but you still have to figure things out. Like, you don't know the full potential of some of these platforms until someone either shows you or you watch a tutorial or whatever. And that's great. But then it's figuring out how to connect the platforms. And then it's figuring out also, here's another big part of the learning curve. How does a customer think at each stage of the funnel? How does a customer think when they don't know you? They're a random person that's never seen your ad before, never seen your business, versus a top of funnel ad, middle of funnel ad, bottom of funnel ad, versus booking a call, versus coming into the call, versus afterwards. What is their experience with you? Developing the awareness of that took me probably 3 or 4 years to really develop the awareness of, I think I need a tool for this. I think I need a tool for that. And then you have to go seek out these platforms.
Right.
Oh, wait. The tracking on this, I should probably build a custom system for it. That happened after 2 years of running them. That should have been there day one.
Yeah.
You know, I think that I should set up my form this way, and the form should lead into the call booking thing, and then that should send the data to the CRM, and then that should send the data to our Slack channel, and that should also link the data into the Google Sheet. But how do I do that? How does it even work? You know, and then you go into Zapier or Make or one of these other automation platforms, and you try to select, and you're like, well, do I put a yes or a no on this one? And then there's like 15 different options, and then you don't even know if you're doing it right. And so it's this whole like discombobbled like mess, sort of.
Discombobbled.
And yeah, it is. And it's just trial and error. Like, I probably built the automation system for launch socials at the start 10 different times.
Yeah.
Before I understood fully what it should be and what it should look like.
The other thing is it takes time to build these automations because you have to log into one, create the what?
The API connection.
No, like say you just want to
Oh,
automate emails. You have
yes.
to log into the thing that you're collecting from, and then you have to log into the thing that you're sending emails from, test the connection, make sure it works. But then if that ever gets unplugged, it's like you're missing leads. And so I think they get the point at this point, at this time.
By the way, I think we should touch on like the person that's watching this or wants to sell high ticket or maybe is selling high ticket that doesn't have a bunch of software. Because there are a lot of people out there, clients of mine, that are like, dude, honestly, it just seems like too much work to set that all up.
Calendly and Google Sheets.
Like, I'm just going to use Calendly or a scheduling software and Google Sheets. And I'm just going to book people from
So what's wrong with that?
I'm just going to book people from the DMs. And what's wrong with that is that you miss out on a lot of data. You probably would double or triple your income just if you simply put minor systems in. If someone books a call, you send them a proper 15, 20 email sequence before they actually show up to that call. You can't do that in all these scheduling platforms. You have to connect it to an email sending platform.
Yeah.
You have to then connect it to a CRM, which makes it really difficult. Like if you're a beginner or just somebody that's just like, I don't want to deal with that, you can't squeeze the most cash out of the business that you're running. You're inefficient.
I have an interesting exercise for you. So I'm going to be a Calendly and Google Sheets warrior right now. I'm going to tell you the problem that I have, and
Tell me.
you're going to tell me what I'm
Put me
doing,
on the spot
what I'm
here.
doing wrong, or what
Okay.
I'm not tracking, so that someone who may have this
Okay.
problem can know how to kind of overcome that. Calendly and Google Sheets warrior. I booked 8 calls today, and only 1 showed up. What's my
Okay.
problem?
Okay, so either they are the wrong people being booked and they realize they didn't really want that call, which if you book them out of your Instagram DMs, like I doubt that's happening. Or the second thing is someone doesn't feel that call is valuable, and they don't feel that call is valuable
Because they weren't nurtured.
because they were not nurtured. And you can only nurture them if you send them assets before the call. And those assets have to exist on one of these platforms. They can be fully automated. But in the traditional stack, you have to stitch 5 of them together to do so.
So something I learned from you actually was that people need to be reminded that they have an appointment. Like personally, when I book a call, I show up to it. But
Well,
I
you're a
guess
very responsible, high IQ individual.
correct. Now we've both complimented each other's IQs on camera. But what I didn't understand is like, why aren't people showing up? I didn't understand that you have to then, once they schedule, you have to then go and send them. You do 15, which is great.
Depends on
At
the offer,
least
by the
2
way.
to 3 to 5
Some offers we do
emails.
less.
2 to 3, 5 emails or a text or a call from your rep to confirm
And it's
the
not
call.
it's not just reminder emails. It's here's why you
Right.
booked this call. Here's a reminder of why you booked this call.
Right.
Here's what the offer is. Here's why this setup is the best. If you book a call with us, I'm blasting your email.
And
right?
so that I think the ideal answer to my question there was you need to nurture these people, and that's going to help your show rate. So like that's something that I didn't understand.
Let's go outside of nurture. There's ways of nurturing. You can send ads to somebody after they book a call with you.
I learned that yesterday.
If someone
by the
books a
way.
call with
Yeah.
you can just send them ads that say, hey, this is all the stuff you're going to need to know going into the call.
Imagine booking a call, and then the next day you go on Instagram and you're like, hey, so I saw you booked a call.
Exactly.
And it's an ad.
You can do that when you have the right
You just
setup.
taught me that yesterday.
Yes. So you have that, which is automated. You can send automated texts and emails, which you, again, need another platform for.
Yep.
And then your sales team should be calling to confirm and dial and talk to that person. And we call it a triage. They triage that person to make sure they're going to be good going into the call. Now, if you're a single person business running it, you don't need to be doing that, but you should have automations on. You maybe should even have ads on, and you should physically yourself, as a solo person running your high ticket, you should be at least texting them to remind them.
All right, new next scenario for the Calendly Google Sheets warrior.
Okay.
I have a ton of engagement. I have a ton of followers, but nobody is clicking on my links, and nobody is opting into my stuff. No one's booking calls. What's my problem? Or what's my software problem?
I mean, nobody, or like there's definitely some people booking calls, right?
I have 100,000 followers, and I got 1 booked call last week, even though I put up 5 CTAs.
Do we know how many people are on the landing page?
Very low.
Very low. Well, then to me, that's a content problem
Okay.
or an offer problem. That's not even a software problem.
Okay, well let's make it a
to
software
be honest.
problem. So a lot. Sorry, just so we can demonstrate.
Yeah, of course,
kind
and I want to
what
be
the-
truthful as well for
because we're
anyone
providing
watching.
software solutions, right?
Yeah.
So okay, a lot of clicks and very few opt-ins. What's the issue with my
A lot of clicks,
software?
a lot of clicks, very few opt-ins. It's probably something to do either with how the page is built, or the offer on the page. I would say, can I give you a scenario that might be a little bit stronger? You're getting a ton of opt-ins, but you're not converting a lot of people to calls. And, that's probably something on the back end. Because what happens is sometimes that opt-in comes in, but the automation puts it into your CRM in a weird way because they're not actually meant to go together, if that makes sense. They're not built for each other.
Yep.
They're taped together. And so someone books in or someone submits an opt-in on your funnel landing page software. You then have to automate that so it goes into a sheet. And you also need to then automate it so it goes into your CRM. And then you also need to automate it so it notifies your sales team that this person is here and they need to be called. And so likely what's happening if a lot of people are opting in but not booking, maybe it's an offer issue. But even more often what I've seen is like if someone opts in, they're usually interested. More often than not, it's that the automation is not set up correctly. So you're relying on this automation to get this person from, they gave me my information. Information is the most valuable piece, by the way. The phone number, the name, and the email. That's all stuff we can send to ad platforms to target people. That's all stuff we can use to call people. We can look them up. We can email them. We can do a lot of stuff with that data. It's usually not being used the correct way. And so what happens if someone opts in and then, we're not getting booked calls, offer could be bad, or the lead or data isn't there and set up correctly for the salesperson. It's not being added to the email list. It's not being added correctly and automated to the ad campaign. It's not automated and added correctly to the texting campaign. The data isn't being used correctly. And then what that means is someone opts in and then they don't get anything. And then nothing happens. And then it's just this massive gap where you only get the most low-hanging fruit, warm people to buy your thing. And then you miss the 90% of the market that's just sitting there like, I'm kind of interested. But there's nothing on your end hitting them because you can't put the stack together.
Can I tell you a situation we had at High Strike one
Yeah.
time? So,
by the way, did all that make sense? Or was I going on a rant?
100%. No, you're good. 100% makes sense. So we invested in Cole Gordon's high-ticket offer VSL generation curriculum, which was awesome, by the way. Highly recommended. So we put together this really high quality, very well thought out VSL funnel for our high ticket product. And so it went something like opt-in page to a VSL page to a call booking page to a thank you / pre-call information page. So there's four steps in the sequence. Now the prospect had to put their information in on the opt-in page. And then to book a call, they had to put their information in again. And then there's one other stop where they had to put their information in a third time in there. And so we found out through just letting this run that the software that we were running this on, it was impossible to, I'm going to use some technical terms here, append the URL parameters from the previous page to the next and autofill them into the things.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Literally get fatigue from putting their information in 3 separate times. They're like, what the hell? I already put this in. And they drop off on page 2 out of 4. And they don't get to the call booking page. And turns out they were the most closable lead that you could have found.
Yep.
And so we ran, after a ton of time running this high ticket funnel, we found we had a huge level of drop off the third time someone had to put their information in. So they were fine putting it in the first time, right? They wanted to opt in. A second time is kind of just like a minor inconvenience, and a third time is clearly an inefficiency.
Can I explain exactly how this works?
And so we were getting people dropped off, and we were losing a lot of people on that. And then we custom coded a solution that just overrode the platform's defaults, and we ended up getting it to happen. We had to pay for that.
Yes.
We had to pay $2,000 for that. And so, that's less than the cost of ClickLabs for like half a year. And so it's like, if you just used a platform that did that already, you'd never run into that problem, and you identify it from day one and take care of it. So go ahead.
I want to expand on that. I was getting a little excited, so I didn't mean to interrupt you. Imagine you have a landing page, and on that landing page, someone has to put in their email, their phone, their name. And then that is to then show them a sales video that's going to explain your offer and explain your high ticket service or whatever it is. Then, if they're interested, they have to submit a form. And they go to submit that form, and they then have to put their name, their email, and their phone in again, plus all the questions. And then if they answered it in a way that you feel you could help them, you automatically send them to your call booking page. But then on the call booking page, what do they have to do again? They have to put their name, their
Yeah.
email, and their phone in.
This is
And
exactly
at
what
that
happened.
point, they're just like, and this happens to everybody.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I don't want to do this. And then you have to custom code. We've also
And then
had
you
to
have
custom code the
which
same
costs
exact
way
thing.
too much.
And so either you need to know how to code it, or you have to pay for it, like Ben said, or you can just use ClickLabs and you could just click a button
Yeah.
and it does it for you.
Well, I don't want this to be
Well-
about selling our platform. I would rather this.
I
be
was just
about
offering the option.
100%.
You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
on board. Yeah. I want this to be more about educating
Of course.
on what the steps are to get a system that efficiently works. And if someone at the end of that says like ClickLabs is the solution, which I hope they do, then great.
Well, I'll
But
say
I want to provide our perspective on how to build this 100K a month funnel now, which
yes.
100% you need to have a system that autofills people's information from step to step, because you might think that's minor, but it's not. And yeah,
That's a good
100%.
example of like a gap. That's a good example of even the opt-in to the call booking that I was giving earlier. Like someone puts in their info and then they have to put it again and again and again.
Yeah.
They're just gonna disappear. They're gonna be like, fuck this guy. You know, like why do I have to keep giving this my info? He has my info. They're gonna think something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
And it's
I have another good exercise if you want to do it.
yeah, let's do it.
So without naming actual funnels, let's talk about funnels that we've opted into ourselves as business owners that gave us red flags that made us not buy. So I'll start. I opted into a funnel. I won't name what it is, but the confirmation email I got for my call booking was just a chunk of HTML in an email body, and it said call book this time, blah, 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 like one run-on sentence, and I lost trust.
I'm trying to think of some that I have. I think
I don't know, like too many questions. Like what? Maybe I'll break it down for you.
I think it depends on the buyer.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like me as a buyer, I'm more sophisticated because I do the marketing, so I'm more just like I know what you're doing, and so if it's done in a way where I'm like, I don't really resonate with that. Like, I was interested, but this makes it feel like it's not for me.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to, or like, just get to the point, you know? I think something that is super, it also depends on the buyer. So I'm more of a B2B buyer. When people don't get to the point in their funnel, I kind of just lose interest. I needed it. I don't need it anymore. It doesn't, catch my interest anymore.
Yeah.
We were buying for a partner, client, whatever kind of deal. We were buying a setup for clipping, because clipping's huge right now. And so I had opted in, and immediately, like, they reach out to me and they're like, yeah, so this is going to be the price. Are you able to pay that? If not, you can't come on the call. And I was just like, well,
interesting strategy.
I am able to pay it, but like now I don't want to.
I think what's happening there is business owners have taken the qualification step way too far, right? So a few years ago, it was kind of this collective discovery that like, hey, let's financially qualify all of our prospects before the call and make sure they have enough money to get on the call. And so that's a good idea. That is a good principle to do. But I think people just take that way too far now at some places, and they're like, they just demand intimate financial questions of their prospects before they even meet them. And like you said, that turns a lot of people off.
The other piece on that is, let's say, and we're getting into more strategy than software stuff for a second.
It's all the same.
Yeah, someone might actually be interested. They might be able to pay, but they don't fully know your offer yet because you haven't had a call with them, or they haven't shown up to the webinar, whatever way you're selling your high ticket. And so you say, hey, do you have 5K? 5K for what? Like,
I'm not even answering.
Like I don't even know like what you're asking me about 5K for. Like I'm interested in your thing, but I don't even know what your offer is. So how can I know if I have 5K or deem 5K being worthy of it? I could maybe get 5K if I feel like I need that today.
It's never about the price.
No.
It's never about the price.
It's about, will this solve this problem?
It's only about the price if someone has literally no money and no access to money,
Yes.
which is rarely the case. It's more about, so it's better for you to qualify their interest in what you have than it is for you to qualify their financial situation that may or may not be able to support paying for what you have. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Yes, 100%.
I'm looking at a couple of the other questions
Okay, go ahead.
that we had written down. Let's see.
I have a
What-
question for you if you want. But
Yeah, hit me.
So I've heard different theories on this, but what do you consider to be vital information that needs to be collected from a prospect in the opt-in process so that you can know exactly what you want to know about them, but not ask too many questions where they start getting annoyed?
Is
and
this for
drop
booking a
off?
call?
This is in the application process.
So application going into a call,
Yeah.
basically.
So for context, it's opt-in, VSL, application, call. We're in the application
Yes.
phase, which is 3 out of 4.
Opt-in would be for like a lead magnet or to watch a training video
Right.
or your VSL.
Opt-in is name, email, phone number.
Yeah.
This is like qualifying questions.
It totally depends on the offer and the buyer.
Let's talk about
Um,
our offer.
Yeah, I mean, for our offer, ClickLabs, I'm so much more inclined to ask 3 questions just to make sure you sell high ticket,
Yep.
to make sure that you or sell high ticket or are going to sell high ticket or want to. Make sure that you understand what's going on. You're not some random person that's like, I think it would be a good idea to like start a business today. Well, have you ever started a business? Did you build a product yet? Do you
Well,
have a
if that's
skill
you,
yet?
we'd love to help you as well.
Yes, we'd
but-
love to, but I want to like I want somebody that's like got something of like I'm trying to sell this.
Yep.
You know, someone that's like debating between 6 different business models. I don't think we can help. That's kind of what I'm saying.
So you're saying, I'll boil that down. You're saying clarify their intent,
yes,
why they're there.
You know, are you here and are you, do you have some sort of structure?
Okay.
You know, ready to like you're just ready to sell something.
Okay.
I don't
Anything
think we
else?
can help someone that's like, I might do Amazon, or I might do drop shipping, or I might want to
I
sell
get it.
info.
Yeah, I get it. Yep.
So, we want to make sure you have something. We want to make sure you're a real person, and we want to make sure that you're going to show up. And it's basics, because then we're going to reach out and we're going to say, hey, man, like, I think we can, probably help.
I think it's
ask
also
a couple
important for us. Sorry to cut you off. It's also important for us to understand at what point someone's at in the scaling process.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
a call with a person who's just trying to launch is going to look very different from a call with a person who has a 100K a month business already and wants to get to 5.
And the information we're going to give them before the call. If you book
Right.
a call with me and you're very like ready to launch, you've done some stuff, you want to get the high ticket offer going, but you don't have a whole crazy thing built out. I'm going to send you some information that's more about like how to get started versus you've been doing this for a while. You're making 500K a month. You're like, I think there's a better way to do it. I'm spending 40K a month on my software. I'm going to send you a different resource that explains what a migration could look like and what the difference, is between your current setup and what a new setup would be. Because it's very, 2 very different things. So we want to get that information,
Yeah.
obviously. If we're selling info at some of the info companies, we usually ask like 5 questions. But it depends. If you're running really cold ads, I see a lot of people ask like 10 or 15. More friction.
More questions, more friction.
Yep.
Yeah.
More friction on purpose though. It's not on accident. It's definitely on purpose.
Yep.
If you're talking with someone in the DMs, I say no friction. Don't even ask questions. Just send them a link to book.
100% agree.
So it kind of depends on stage.
Do you want to ask one, or I have more? If you want me
Go
to keep
for it,
going.
and then
Okay.
I'll pick one out of here as well.
Okay. Talk to me about the first contact that someone has with a high ticket brand. What should that page look like? For me, it's simplicity. And I think the answer is simplicity for you too. Just like literally element by element, walk me through what that first landing page looks like
So
when they make first contact.
I think the context to add there is someone saw you from an ad or heard about you word of mouth or heard about you from, or saw you on your Instagram page or whatever it is, your organic content. So their context could be a lot if they've been a follower for a long time or a tiny bit if they just discovered you. So understanding that and knowing that, you should always build it for the person that doesn't know who you are. Always. And what that looks like is always big headline, usually an explainer video for high ticket, like a VSL, or free training, depending on the way you're doing it, or even an opt-in for a webinar. Right? Those are usually the ways to sell high ticket, or like a challenge funnel. And then from there, it's an explainer and proof below. So you have the video, you have text explainer, And usually between those two is your testimonials and your results, because you want to blast that. And that's it.
Okay.
You don't do anything else usually.
So typically for me, it's brand logo. And if you go on the ClickLabs page, you'll see this. It's brand logo, tiny, small up top. Benefit-driven headline. Some sub-headline to qualify who it's for. And any exclusions that I need to make. So without doing this. Video that's between 6 and 10 minutes in length that shows what the offer is, what it does, how to do it. And then a button that says apply now.
Let's talk about someone launching. Someone just launching. And I'll say that the person just launching should keep it basic. They should keep it basic. Sometimes even I recommend people when they launch, you just need a form for someone to schedule a call. You know, you're launching, you're testing, that sort of thing. And then once you understand what you're selling, you then build out your page, you then build out all that. I think that, and I want to tie ClickLabs into this, because in the past when we recommend someone launching, it's like just set up the page where you can just book a call. But then they don't capture any of the data. They don't have a CRM. They don't send them emails. They don't send. You should be sending them emails. You should send reminders. You should have all that. And if you're just booking the call, you don't have that. Or some people even manually book it. So the person that's launching, I believe ClickLabs is the ideal thing for them, because not only can you launch on it correctly and preserve all your data, all your information and everything, you then get the tools that you slowly piece together for the full stack in the same place you started. So you never have to migrate anywhere else, and you can not only launch on it, but you can scale on it.
Yep.
So it can get you to the first 5, 10K a month, it can get you to 50, it can get you to 100, and it can get you to $1 million a month, because it has and supports the entire functionality. Because we've had experience doing the entire functionality and have dealt with all those pieces and things. So I think that first person, launching, let's talk about the person launching versus the person scaling and like functionally what they need to do differently. I think the person launching needs to get their offer out there, maybe have an explainer page and a way for someone to book a call. That's it. That's really what they need. I've always in the past for clients, I would love for them to have a CRM, but that person launching, dude, they're worried about their VSL. They're worried about, getting calls booked, talking to people in the DMs. They're not even worried about CRM. Like, I have to set up a whole integration and Zapier and this and that. Oh my God, I don't know what to do.
I would go crazy.
So
trying to figure out like my first funnel, and then someone like you has experience and is like at 100K a month, telling me, oh, just so you know, in order to make any real money, you're going to have to set up a CRM. And I'm like, what are you talking about? How do I connect it? What does it look like? What are the fields? How do I get people into it?
This is the craziest part.
Out of it? And just for us to be able to take that stress and the uncertainty and the just simple unawareness out of the equation, I think is what's valuable.
The reason I have told people in the past, before we've had this, that you shouldn't set up a CRM is because it's too difficult and too hard to do and too confusing for the person just launching, even though I know they should.
Yeah.
And so I tell them the reason they shouldn't is because it will sidetrack them, even though I know that they should have this tool day one.
What if it was literally just built for you?
Well, it was just connected to your call booking. It was just there for you. That's what we've solved.
Yeah.
Is like, I have to give people bad advice because the softwares that existed,
that's such a good way to put it,
didn't hit the functionality that like they couldn't set it up.
That's such a good way to put it.
And then let's talk about the guy scaling. Like, for that launched beginner to go to 100 a month, how does the software and how does the software support what they should already be doing? That's also the key. There's a lot of things you guys should already be doing for your high ticket offer, but there's a lot of functionality that's missing. So how does our software and what should they be doing? How do we support that?
In terms of filling in pieces that
as they scale, like when you scaled High Strike, I think you had Teachable, and that was probably it, right? We could maybe, I don't know if you want to blur.
$2.5 million through Teachable.
Yep. Okay.
And Teachable took $350K. $350K.
Oh, that's nasty. Like, and I guess they're a successful company.
Guess what? It's my fault for not doing something about it.
Yeah, I mean, well,
for not building my own
you
software.
You still did well, though. You still did well, but
did pretty well. Yeah.
But doing that, you had Teachable. Did you have anything else back then?
No.
Okay,
it was Teachable.
And I remember you were selling
Chad
course.
rammed $2.5 million through a platform that took 8%.
And then as you scale, I think you launched the recurring, and that's when all the other stuff came in. If
Yeah.
I'm
So
correct.
just to clarify, 8% was on top of Stripe's fee, so that's what gets the 350. I know people are doing math in their head as we're talking, but
yeah.
So after we launched the subscription, so we went from low ticket to subscription, and then we sold both. When we started selling the subscription, we're like, I'm not paying 10, 12% of every subscription on a recurring basis. Like, I'm not doing that. I've been in the game for 4 years now. We don't need to be doing that. And so we worked with you to build out a ClickFunnels to Stripe to, I believe it was LaunchPass to Discord integration. So there's 4 platforms for you right there.
And that was the best at the time in terms of processing.
And it was the best, and it worked, right? Because it was made for exactly what we were doing.
Yep.
But it took, 2 months to set that up?
No, not. I mean, I wouldn't say 2 months. I would say 2 months of like ideation, planning. This is what we should do. Here's the direction. Here's the funnel copy, VSL stuff. Actual promotion, and then the setup of that. Probably took 2 months.
So not 2 months on software, but it took a while to set up, right?
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that you're setting things up the correct way.
And in that process, you did that, but then after you and I stopped working together, I think you went even more advanced with a lot of these things, where you had the CRM, you had the sales team, you had all these sort of things. What was your software expense?
It was about $12,000 a month.
I didn't know it was that. And then processing on top of that.
And then Stripe is 2.9% on top of that. Yeah, plus 30 cents a transaction. Which
Yep. I mean, which is like what people access through ClickLabs, which is normal.
When I sold HighStrike, obviously I put together the entire profit and loss statement. The Stripe fees was the highest single monthly expense of any category.
Yep.
Stripe fees and software.
Even more than payroll?
Well, it was more than any individual person, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
Payroll was about $50K a month, but the software, and then we had 9 employees. So the software was like $8K.
The software to me is like the new rent. It's like a rent for your business.
They hold your business hostage.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay, you don't have a business.
Yo, that's right. That's right.
It's good for the software. It's not so good for you.
I would say, let me ask, I have another question for you. And I want to get back into just like the software aspect a little bit. What do you feel the bigger vision for ClickLabs is? What's our bigger vision in your opinion?
We want to make it as simple as possible to break into high ticket sales, because for a lot of people, that's becoming their way out of whatever bullshit the world's turning into, where it's impossible to get a job that pays you enough to afford what you want in life. People are getting replaced by AI and having to be reliant on their own businesses more and more, and it's becoming harder and harder to start those businesses. So we kind of want to flip the script. We want to make it as simple as possible for someone to say, I'm good at this, I want to charge this much for it, and I want to sell it to a bajillion people. We want to just smash that all together and give someone the opportunity to do that without charging them a ridiculous amount or taking a chunk of their business.
The thing is, you should be able to, like, if I was starting an e-com store today, I can load up a Shopify, I can input the theme, I can upload my products, and then I can run ads to it after I get my domain live, and I'm good.
Yes.
If you load up ClickLabs today, you can start your funnel, you can get your calls or your forms or whatever it is that you do, your conversion mechanism. You can have your CRM live. You can have your tracking live. You have all your data, everything. And then you can run your ads, you can run your content right to the page, and it's working in a day. Like click of a, you snap your finger, you're there.
I think that's a good spot to wrap up. What do you think?
Yeah. What do you want to leave people on? What's a thought?
So my parting thoughts are, listen, I see what's going on in the world. I see that it's becoming increasingly hard to start a business and to afford the things through a job that you want in life. And it's becoming increasingly competitive, and that's on purpose. It's not by my purpose. It's by the purpose of what I call the big squeeze, which everyone is getting squeezed intentionally. That's a whole separate concept. But the way out of that is to start a business or win the lottery, but you're not going to do that. So start a business, and we want to make it as simple as possible for you to get that done with around a skill that you already have.
Or make more money with your current business now, today. Because I know a lot of business owners or people that maybe are thinking about starting a high ticket offer. Maybe they're already making good money.
It's hard.
They're getting squeezed.
They're getting squeezed because it's hard. And I think a lot of the people that we're talking to would self-identify as a high ticket business owner when they really haven't done a ton of sales. And so we'd probably classify those people as beginners, but they think that they're midway through. And so Nick is just saying that, we're kind of addressing all that. It's for beginners, it's for struggling midway journey people, and it's even for people that just want to save money on their software stack and simplify it.
And at the end of the day, you will make more money if you use ClickLabs. We can almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
Cool. Ben, I think that was great.
Great conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for sticking to the end.
Maybe we'll do another one of these. This is kind of like our launch sort of moment, you know? So I think more is maybe potentially coming. You'll see us in a bunch of ads maybe. And
if you watch the end of the video, you should get an ad. And if you don't,
probably
let us know because our targeting's messed up.
That's right. That's right. Cool. Appreciate you guys being here. And if you have any questions, you can message us on Instagram, ClickLabs, or book a call. The link's below. Talk with someone on our team, and we can answer your questions.
Thanks.
Thanks.